मैंने बोला था कि पिछला पॉडकास्ट बहुत लंबा था बट ये वाला भी लंबा है आई couldn't help it. The conversation was so good. Today's guest for the podcast was Yashomati Ma'am. She is my mentor. She has been helping me deal with career guidance or staying productive or emotional intelligence and teaching me about it because she has done multiple courses about career guidance, let's say, or she is into psychology right now. She's also into teaching. She's also preparing for UPS exams, right? So she has a lot of stuff to that she could share with us. She was also in Sanic school. So basically, she had a lot of stuff that I felt you guys should know, the audience could find helpful, and we could all learn from her. So that's why we invited her to the podcast today, and here we go. I hope you like the podcast. I know it was long, but enjoy. So finally, we have Yashomati ma'am with us. She has been my mentor, जैसे मैंने intro में बताया ही होगा. And today we are going to discuss a lot of stuff related to counseling, A, because she's a great counselor, but B, psychology, tons of things about IS, which let's let the topics unravel as we go forward the podcast, so that even you'll be surprised at the questions that I have came up with already. ठीक है.
Okay.
Let's start with counseling, ma'am. Uh, Firstly, let's let the audience know what a brief about what occupation, like what profession you're following, pursuing in counseling, like specifically, and what you do in general.
So I'm teaching and I'm counseling both, especially talking about counseling. I have been mentoring a lot of kids since long time. I think it started with NGO almost 8 to 9 years ago. That time we had different motive with us because we were teaching underprivileged kids. We were doing counseling for them to stay into education system. It was very important because dropout rate around 8th and 7th standard is very high, and they did not get enough educational aids to learn and to continue into the system. So that time we had different motto, but since last 4 to 5 years, I have a little bit changed the stream. Like I have told you earlier as well, I love reading, especially psychology and philosophy has always been very dear to me. So, kind of research into psychology has led me to this counseling profession, yeah, fair experience, you can say. And here I have had diversity, you can say, in terms of uh, subjects or like people I have dealt with. I have dealt with ADHD, dyslexia, anxiety, depression, people who are struggling with addictions, like kids specifically, whether they are screen addicted or substance addicted. Substance addiction, I haven't done like specific counseling, but definitely screen addictions and comfort zone problem people facing, people who have difficulty with focus, consistency, discipline. Those things I have worked on till now.
Interesting, interesting. So, matlab, let's dive deeper into the amount of cases that you have gotten, like, the students that you have dealt with, so that we can know better what were the specific problem statements we can say, अगर business terms में बात किए तो, about the students that you, or the anyone, like, whoever, were all of them students?
One lady, and all of them were students.
Oh, okay. So students again, so that we can get an idea or about the psychological aspect of the occupation that you are into, basically. What kind of students have you gotten till now? अगर specific cases में बात करें तो, like, you talked about students with क्या बोलते हैं, substance addictions, then about losing focus and some like more examples, right? What were the specific problems that you saw in this, like psychologically speaking, neurologically speaking, and what are the general methods that counselors use to actually approach these students and solve their problems?
Um, I'll start with a very dear case to me. Um, Actually, there are two, but I'll start with the first one. Okay, the ADHD kind. That kid was in sixth standard. he was learning in IB. I think we all know IB is quite different than Indian curriculum. Um, and he had difficulty in identifying difference between B and D, G and J. He used to interchange it a lot. In fact, even if he had to write, for example, 39, he used to write 93 subconsciously. It used to happen. And uh, I think it continued till seventh standard. And when he was in seventh standard, his mother realized it. Okay, now this is going beyond our capacity. And every time she had a solution was to hit him or to scold him, or, like she was very frustrated. And the kid was frustrated too. I think that is very dear to me because when I started teaching him in particular way, I saw a lot of changes. I also came to know that hitting, getting frustrated, or scolding, not keeping patience is not going to help teaching this kind of a kid, because he did not just had dyslexia, because you can see like he had mild dyslexia regarding and Marathi and Hindi was a disaster for him, to be very honest. He was in sixth, seventh standard and still couldn't identify Marathi letters or Hindi letters. And he belonged to quite rich family, to be very honest. It was not like that in his family they were not focused on education or something like that. But nobody identified that he was going through ADHD and dyslexia. Now, what is ADHD? ADHD is nothing but attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay, so what happens? These kind of kids, they generally uh, struggle to focus or struggle to complete one activity. Before one activity finishes, they jump to the second activity. Okay, and same thing happens with studies as well. Okay, they experience low moods as well. Sometimes they're very overwhelmed and stressed about the situation in general. And this was happening with this kid, but my approach initially was to understand what he's going through, what he was actually dealing with. I empathized with his problem. I asked him more like a friend, that I um, earned his trust. Earn is very important word, because kids at that age do not trust teachers or parents way too easily, because unless you have had that kind of parenting, or you have experienced that kind of understanding from your elders. So maybe a compassionate inquiry helped me there. I tried to understand why he was frustrated, why he couldn't identify, why he was lacking some focus. And then we worked on specific parts, and the results were really good after that. He improved his focus, he was improving in studies, he got really good grades. All he wanted to do was do well in studies and play games according to his time. So I created one schedule. I helped him with diet, because a lot of people do not know that even if ADHD is the case, diet plays an important role. And in the extreme cases of ADHD, people take medications as well. Okay. But I have learned from a research that medicines do not help you that much. They are just quick fixes, not long term fixes. So, exercise, good diet, and meditative practices can help you to come out of that. So this was one case. And another case, uh, that student was a repeater in 12th standard. He did take a drop to improve his marks, because he wanted to pursue a particular stream in engineering and wanted a particular college. But somehow he lost that faith and confidence in him. He was depressed. He was going through 6 months of therapy. That didn't help him. He was on a medication. That didn't help him. And that that time when I came and gave you the guest lecture, and
Huh.
fortunately, yeah, he was also there, and he found it very helpful. And
Oh.
he approached me. His parents approached me. They were these are very nice people, to be very honest, because this was the only child, and they took a lot of efforts to get him out of that. the trauma that he was facing, that I have dropped out, and this is a repeating year, and I'm not doing good. Those things were going on, and somehow the techniques that I taught in the guest lecture helped him. The mentorship helped him, and I'm very proud to say that that kid was so determined to change what he was going through. He was so determined to come out of that. That he really did good in terms of marks, and he was selected in one of the best colleges in Maharashtra, or you can say in India as well. He did hold up a good rank as well.
I think he got qualified for COEP, right? COEP is a good
Yes.
college. It ranks in 77th in India overall.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
say yeah.
So mhm.
This actually the scenarios that you are talking about. The first scenario I will talk about. These are actually related to the questions that I had in my mind for the upcoming, you know, minutes. Let's say. Firstly, let's talk about the first case where you talk about how the parent was a factor that was affecting the well-being of the child himself. So it was not just a personal psychological problem, it was being induced by a second factor that was his environment, we'd say, right? What approach do you take while conversing with parents and talking with them, and like when you come to know ki, the problem actually here are the parents himself, and maybe there are some issues that the child himself has in his mindset, but still uh, uh, like how do you approach the parents saying ki you guys need to change the way you're treating him or whatever the procedures you'll be following? Wouldn't like how will you deal with the resistance that you'll feel from the parents, or what has been your experience in that aspect? Also, do you think that parents should, be uh, what do we say, like counselors to their children, so that there shouldn't be an external need to get a therapist or a counselor to actually help their kids, stay mentally healthy?
Okay. So I'll answer the first part of your question. What approach did I take? I'll it's very direct. That is compassionate inquiry. Means what? You are quite empathetic towards that kid's situation. I specifically did a few things whenever he was struggling with the focus. I didn't get frustrated. Okay. I asked him, Ki, what is that you're dealing with right now? Can you talk to me? What is going on in your head? And why are you thinking at this point of time? What are those triggers that are leading you to think this thing at this point of time when I'm teaching you? Okay. So he initially was hesitant, but when he got very friendly, he started telling me. And what you have to really do is to take that person's trust into the picture, because if the person is not trusting you, that kid is not trusting you, he wouldn't tell you the right answer. You wouldn't be able to give you the right solution to that, right? I mean, in order to understand his struggle, you first need to empathize and ask him, what are you dealing with? How can I help you? And I think I'll shift to the third part of the question because it's correlated. Whenever parents, okay, specifically, are trying to mold that kid into an ideal mold, what we are saying. The ideal mold means what? A kid should be disciplined. A kid should be doing homework at this time. Kid should be doing this. Kid should be eating this. Kid should be doing. So, this ideal mold that society has created, a lot of parents want their kid to be a topper. They want him to be in sports. They want him to be like so many things. It's like at one time. Okay. And they are trying to pressurize him or her to do that. And that strategy never works because that is not compassionate inquiry. What do I mean by compassionate inquiry is that whenever your kid is struggling, go and have a healthy conversation. By that, having a healthy conversation means what? You're going to go to that kid and ask him, like I told you earlier, what is it? What you're dealing with? How can I help you? How can we overcome? Because this one particular behavior is causing this problem. That's why you're struggling with this thing. So, and eventually you get that out of that kid and then work on those parameters or issues. So that's what I did. And I forgot the middle part that you were asking.
No, there was no middle part. It was just that. First was how do you approach parents? Because then, let's say a parent comes to you saying कि I need help with my child and he is not doing well, and then how do you tell them कि no, there's no problem in your child, you are the problem. ऐसा करके basically.
Okay, so really, I wanted to tell you this important thing. That's why I said that middle part. See,
Mhm.
I have said it many times. Acceptance is the key. Your kid is struggling. Okay, a particular kid is struggling with the focus. Accept it. Your kid is not doing good in the exams. Accept it. Most of the people are in the denial. Okay, when you are in the denial, uh, you will never be able to give what that kid really needs. You will always give what you want to give and not what that kid needs. So acceptance is the key. When you accept that, okay, this person is dealing with this particular thing, then after acceptance, there comes the actualization, or rather, I will say, uh, corrections. Okay, you can do the corrections. Okay, and then you will get the results which you really need.
What about do you think parents got to be the counselors part though? Like, do you think if we build such good empathy and keep emotional intelligence in the current generation, the future generations will not depend on therapists and counselors for their mental well-being, and they can, just get all that from the parents themselves if everyone is has that level of emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence is just isn't just about how you handle yourself, right? It's also about how you're handling people around you.
Parenting, when it comes to counseling, that parents should be good counselors is a very huge factor. It plays a very significant role in the development of personality, in the development of psyche. Okay, if you see a person who is quite confident, okay, who is really doing well in terms of, let's say, social speaking or stage daring, you will always find somehow supportive parents or understanding parents behind those kids, because they have not always been suppressed somewhere. That kind of, people with natural confidence most of the time. Okay, whenever I have seen someone who's really confident, they have gotten that training, or they were blessed with uh, parents or guardians who were encouraging them to
Yeah.
speak, encouraging them to do particular thing fearlessly. Okay, they were not suppressed. Okay, what do I mean by suppression? I'll tell you. People who are extremely introverted, and of course there are other factors for introvert people and extrovert behavior, but people who lack confidence and are extremely introverted, somehow they have felt that burden from childhood. And here I will tell you, there are two parts. Okay, 0 to 3 years and 3 to 7 years. So till you're 7, your brain is quite imprintable. Okay, your subconscious is getting ready or getting formed at that a point of time, 0 to 7 years. So whatever you are imbibing in your kid, whatever you are imbibing in your child, that is going to stay. Whatever you are telling to that kid, whatever you are imbibing into that kid, that is going to stay forever, because his or her subconscious is getting formed, or and that point of time it's very flexible. After 7 years, your subconscious is not that flexible. You have to go to, in order to change your subconscious, you have to go to the theta stage or something like that, with the help of hypnosis, to change the habits, to change the uh, your subconscious patterns. But in these years, when you are teaching your child humility, when you're teaching your child respecting his or her own self and others, if you're teaching that child fearlessness and discipline at the same time, when you are teaching that kid what you can say exactly, particular good traits in the behavior, the kid will definitely like absorb it. Okay, so this is like one practice that everyone should know. And after that, when kid is in the teenage, uh, it's very important to understand they are going through a lot of changes, hormonal changes. So they are going to be a little bit cranky, they are going to be a little bit angry, they are going to be a little bit moody.
Mood swings.
So yes, mood swings, and that happens in both. Okay, not just girls. Okay, a mood swing is a lot of a lot of times it has been associated with women. No, even men have mood swings. Okay, in
Obviously.
fact,
I think
uh,
it has been like generally people like to make jokes about how females have mood swings, either be during like when they're having their menstrual periods, or even
yes,
if it's just general mood swings that girls have. But you know, boys who are not expressive will not just express the mood swings, and sometimes they don't feel them. But uh, expressive boys do feel mood swings, and they feel annoyed and they feel irritated, and then suddenly they'll feel happy. It's kind of stereotyped, the mood swings part for
I
females.
will tell you something about these cycles. I really feel blessed that I get to read and I get to hear really good people who are telling these things. So I think Mandy Pels is one of those people who have studied hormone cycles between men and women, and she works on health issues and everything. So I have heard her many times, and I have read few things, whatever she has written. So men have 15 minutes of cycle. Okay. So, and we all know women have a 1 month cycle, right? And she says that, and it's very effective. I have worked on that, and that has given me really good results. So, first 10 days, like after like starting your period to first 10 days, women are really good in terms of focus, in terms of talking, they can hear you properly. Now she goes from day 10 to 21, I guess. That is little bit of I'm forgetting the exact terminology she has used, but a little bit of you can say productivity increases. First 10 days there is good productivity, then little bit decreases, but still you can do good work. But after 21st day, till you reach to your period cycle, or the till you reach to the 20th day or 30th day, you have to be out of all the stress. You have to do calming exercises like pranayam, meditation. You should eat good natural sugar, okay? So that progesterone is getting generated, and then that helps to the cycle. People who are struggling with, irregular cycles, they can like
So it's a
find this helpful.
progressive change that females feel. It's not just ki the 10 days, 7 days, whatever time period it is,
Yeah,
they'll be cranky
exactly.
during that time. It's क्या बोलते हैं, progressively it increases the irritation. ऐसा होता है?
Yes. Yes. So PMS is nothing but see from day 21 or something like that. A lot of like hormonal changes are going on. Okay, progesterone needs to be at its peak so that it will release that egg, okay, into the cycle, and then cycle will come on time. So that time they are a little bit cranky and stressed. That time you should not take stress, especially people who are dealing with PCOD, PCOS. Those days will be very helpful if you do calming things, take less stress, do particularly, you can say, take yourself on a date kind of a thing, or read a good book, or watch a movie, have a good
Explain
conversation
for
with your
the
friend.
audience what PCOS or PCOD is. I know it, but I think everyone, who doesn't know it should know.
Yeah, PCOD is nothing but polycystic ovarian syndrome, okay, and or a disorder, PCOD, PCOS, where you have a little bit issues into your menstrual cycle for not getting on time. Sometimes this is completely hormonal, okay. It happens because of the hormonal imbalance. Hormonal imbalance happens because of your lifestyle and stress. if you're not eating good food, if you're not exercising well, if you are dealing with unnecessary excessive stress. So that time, hormonal imbalance happens, and that causes this PCOD. There are a lot of the factors, diet being one, and exercise also. So, yeah, PCOD means that.
Let's get back to a term that you used, theta stage. What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Okay, so theta stage is when you are sleeping. Okay, when you're sleeping, now there are different stages. You know about REM cycles and everything, but before you go into the REM cycles, and you are almost before sleeping and having a little bit of consciousness. Okay, that point of time, that stage is theta, if I'm not wrong. And at that point, you play a hypnosis tape, especially if you are struggling with particular addiction, or if you're struggling with a particular habit that you really want to change, because that has been into your subconscious mind, subconscious pattern. um, I'll tell you with simple analogy, the things you do it on purpose, or things you're doing it with awareness, or the practices that you are like creating on daily basis, that is going to create one pathway towards in your brain, or at that particular area of the mind. And once you visit it often, it's going to be very subtle, it's going to be very smooth. So transition from being happy to sad is not all of a sudden. Okay, you have created or generated that pattern in your head, that you're feeling happy about something, and suddenly you go back to, people say flashbacks. Okay, you go back to really traumatic incidents, or bad thing that they have experienced. So they initially it happens when it's fresh, but later on they keep on doing the same thing, repeating. Okay, they have created that habit, and now the transition is so smooth that you always do it. It's just one like example. Another example is of addiction. We all know what is addiction, right? So you have created those pathways into your subconscious, and if you want to change it, you go into that theta stage where your subconscious is flexible, means you can change it, you can store new information in that. You, if you want to give it a command to create another pattern, it is flexible at that point of time. So that is nothing but a theta stage.
Interesting. Okay, let's go back to the conversation that we were having previously about counseling. Now, you've had many students, you have had many cases that you have dealt with, right? So, what are the general trends that you have seen in the current generation, and what do you think are the causes or the reasons behind those problems that the students faced, basically?
Two of the most important things that people are struggling with is focus and discipline. And in discipline, I'm including consistency as well. Okay. So, focus, people are not aware, Darshil, these days, that they are not focused, and they are not aware. Their concentration is lacking, which is leading them towards cheap sources of entertainment, like reels, like shorts, YouTube shorts. They are so addicted to social media, they're so addicted to the screens that they have forgotten they had something to do, or they had some kind of ambition. I must say, I feel really proud when you're doing these podcasts. You're these days, you have started reading good books, you told me. It makes me feel so happy from inside. I cannot tell you as a teacher how much that means to me, because we I will exclude few people from we, that we are so addicted to social media, so addicted to entertainment, that we are depleting that source of dopamine continuously. And at the end, you feel, oh, I didn't do anything. This was not worth it. You start feeling stressed and anxious because you have, like depleted all the source and the, you can say, the quota of dopamine, and now you are depressed, you don't want to do anything, now you are feeling anxious because you haven't achieved the daily target or something like that. Why? Because you were on that particular reel or on that YouTube shorts that you're continuously scrolling. Okay, social media is designed that way to keep you engaged. It's your focus, it's your willpower, it's
Yeah.
your willingness to come out of that, to leave that and do, little bit of better things like exercising, like doing the podcast, like you're doing right now, or doing or pursuing some hobby. Okay. No, why I'm saying, because you are a live example in front of me. I have seen very less people
And
who are coming.
I have been blessed enough to have you to be my mentor. So it
Thank
goes both
you.
ways. Continue, continue.
Thank you. So that one thing, focus, that I have saying, and I want to explain what is focus. I want to explain what is concentration. I want to explain what is willpower, and also the second thing about discipline. Okay, these are, if you remember, when I came for a guest lecture, I think these things I covered into that. And people who are watching, I'll be really happy if I could help them in this little manner. I'll start with the focus. Okay. So, what is focus? You're doing one thing at a time for extended period of time. Okay. And if even if anything comes into your head, or if you remember to do something, you tell that thing, I will deal with you later, and you finish what you're doing. Okay. Now, what is concentration? Okay, you're focusing on one thing at a time for extended period of time. That is nothing but a concentration. Okay, focus is different, concentration is different, but one and the same. Okay, both are not mutually exclusive. That people need to understand. Okay, once you develop habit of focusing, you can say that, okay, I am concentrating, or I'm a like person with good concentration. The focus comes with awareness. Okay. I have learned this from my guru, Dandapani, and he has taught these things very beautifully. So I will give you his analogy only. What is awareness? So he says that there are two things, okay, two entities, that is your mind and your awareness. So mind is nothing but your brain, okay, where there are different sections. We will term one section as happiness, sadness, studies, or entertainment, science, technology, etc., etc., etc. And your awareness means there is a globe of light which goes into that particular area. It lightens up, okay? And then you're aware that you're happy. When your awareness goes to the anxiety area of the mind, you are feeling anxious. When your globe of awareness or that light visits excitement, it is excited. And if you remember, I gave you one exercise, okay, that we were talking about a good trip, then we talked about really bad failure that you faced in an exam, then we went to the exciting things that you are going to do in a summer vacation. So what did you do in 5 minutes, or in the like 2 minute time period? You felt happy, you felt excited, you felt sad, you felt depressed, and then you were excited again, like order might be different, but you know what I'm saying, right? You got my point. So people need to understand that most of the times, if they're feeling happy, or if they're feeling anxious, if they're feeling stressed, it means they are visiting that area of the mind. And you can willingly, with your willpower, choose to visit other area of the mind. And we have talked about willpower as a mental muscle. Okay, means what? That willpower is something that can be developed with particular steps. Okay, it's not something like key. Darshil, and most of the time, what happens now? People are not aware about these things. If somebody's saying, okay, like focus on something, concentrate. Nobody's teaching you how to focus. Nobody's teaching you
Yeah,
how to
yeah.
concentrate. Teachers are screaming, parents are screaming that focus, focus, but nobody's teaching you the exact way. It's as simple as that. You have to do one thing at a time. Okay, finish it, finish whatever you have started. Okay, and in order to develop the willpower that I was talking about, there is three-step approach. Okay, you finish what you started, you do it a little bit better than you think you can, and you do it little bit more than you think you can. What do I mean by this? I'll give a simple example. Okay. For example, you said ki, ma'am, I want to do one chapter today. And before sitting to the, like your whole setup, or before sitting on your setup to study, you will ask yourself first thing, ki, this chapter has 20 pages. Can I do 20 pages in one go? If the answer is no, accept it, Darshan. Okay, accept it. You're not going to do 20 pages in one go. So start with small, 4 pages. You can take 4 pages, right? Now you have decided that you're going to do 4 pages. That is one task. Okay. You're going to start reading first page. You will finish on the fourth page. Meanwhile, whatever you feel like doing it, if you remember your friend said something, your dad said something, you're like something, people feel that, oh my God, did I put on stove on, or did I put the geyser on? Is it still on or
Yeah,
something? So
work
first of all,
distractions.
yeah, so you can say, okay, I will deal with you later, unless it's life threatening. If you think stove is on, you can seriously put everything off and then
Yes.
sit to the study. So once you start reading first page, finish it till the fourth page. So step number one, finishing what you have started. Step number two, that you're going to little bit better than you think you can. Means if you decided just to read it, okay, for doing it better, maybe underline something, maybe highlight something, maybe write down those important keywords that might help to remember this particular topic. And doing it, and the third step, doing it little bit more than you think you can. For example, you decided that you'll to do 4 pages, right? So 4 pages you decided, but go that extra mile. Okay, read that one paragraph extra, read that like fifth page one more, like just do it a little bit more. So once you start using that plasticity of your subconscious, or plasticity of that habit, okay, I decided to do 4 but I did 5. Okay, and every time
Neuroplasticity here, right?
yes,
Yeah.
neuroplasticity,
This is
definitely.
basically the ability to change your personality to fit the
Yes,
situation and get something done, right?
yes,
Okay, okay. Just for the
absolutely true.
viewers again.
Yeah. So you are using that plasticity in order to develop it. And it is like a muscle, once you start doing these exercises in your mundane things, okay, for example, you start using this willpower thing while making your bed, while brushing your teeth, while eating, okay, it's just simple technique. Even while eating, now people will ask me, how will I like practice willpower or that mental muscle while eating? Okay, you're starting the thing, okay, you are away from all the distractions. You are focusing on each and every bite, what kind of flavor it is giving, what kind of texture food has, what kind of,
Basically.
yeah, you can see. Yeah, in a Gen Z term, you can say,
Okay,
or
Gen Z term.
yeah. So
Mindfulness
living,
and living in the present.
yes, that is the right term, I think. And once you start doing it and doing a little bit more than you have decided and doing it better, will help you to increase that willpower. And you can access it anywhere, like while studying, while completing a task or something like that.
Interesting. This was a very good segment of information, even for me. Okay, let's linger on the last questions about the counseling and therapy that we were talking about previously. What do you think makes differentiates a good therapy from a bad therapy? And also, do you think the psychological problems that we currently have are all just, based on biases and problems in faulty ideal, not ideal system, faulty mindset sometimes, or faulty ideas, not having uh, any purpose and stuff like that? Or is it actually biological reasons that make us suffer? So two questions in there. What differentiates a good therapy from a bad therapy, and are our problems biological, or uh, they are faults in our thinking, basically?
Okay, so biological factor is definitely there. Genetic factor is
Okay,
there. If
okay.
there have been history of a depression or anxiety
Hmm.
in your family, you're more likely to have it. Okay, and nobody can deny that. It's a science. Okay, and biology is one factor, but another factor is how you're treating yourself. Okay, and if you're going to a therapy, now I'll come back to your question, that what differentiates between good therapy and a bad therapy. When you're going for a therapy, it is important for you to understand that whoever is giving you a therapy should make you more independent on your own to solve your problems. It shouldn't be always like, um, I will have some problem, I will go to a therapist, and then, I will solve it. So that is a bad therapy. If you have habit of going through a therapist all the time to solve your problem, and the therapist is giving a temporary solution and not giving a good mechanism to fight with that problem or to solve that problem peacefully. Okay, depends on what the problem is. Okay, a good therapy involves listening. Okay, and therapist could be anyone. I'll tell you my perspective. A therapist, like, I'm not talking about just who have degree in psychology. I don't have degree in psychology, but yet I could recover one person who was going through a bad therapy or something like that. Therapist could be anyone, to be very honest, who has sufficient knowledge to understand that person. Listening is key, understanding, empathizing, and then walking through that pain with that person will make that person feel heard, touched, and helped or healed. Okay, I'll tell you one of the best things that Simon Sinek has given out there on friendship, that when your friend is going through something or your friend is suffering through some trauma, what would you do? Okay, you will go there, sit with that friend, you will feel that trauma with that friend, you will feel that pain, you will go through that pain, and when it's done, I'm sure that person or that friend will feel, okay, now we have dealt with it together. I need to get out of this. Otherwise, that person will keep on holding to that pain. And you need to understand, as a therapist as well, or as a friend, or as a parent, that if you don't want that pattern to be continued, if you don't want that person to see suffered, you need to have good listening ability. You need to have that empathetic ear. You need to have, um, I think, patience to go through that process, help him or her to navigate through those problems. Because, see, when you say, I have one particular problem, or everyone will have different problem. Okay, if somebody is going through a depression, if somebody is going through a particular chronic trauma, so things will be different. Addiction is another kind of like different therapy, where, like, probably we won't have that amount of time to talk about addiction, and but it is related to childhood trauma, and you need to fix those things. If you do not want to go to therapy now, if you never want to approach any therapist or anyone for that matter, you need to do few things on your own. Okay, first of all, stop fighting with the pain that you're going through or trauma that you're going through. It could be anything. Okay, if a traumatic incident has happened in your life, accept, okay, it has happened. Okay, it was a bad thing, but it happened. Next, when you accept, ask yourself whether I want to continue to suffer. This is a very important question that you should ask yourself. That
I think it
because
was
nobody wants to
very.
do it, but nobody's asking to themselves as well. If you do not want to suffer, you need to take specific steps to come out of it. Okay, and if you have accepted the pain, your healing will start from there only. I mean, you will find a ways to come out of pain and trauma and not to continue with it. And you will hear people, repeating their traumatic incidences, repeating those things because they have never accepted it enough. Maybe they were in denial or something like that, and they want to, cuddle that pain or trauma and carry it wherever they are going. It will just make you heavy. Okay, you need to lighten up. You need to be more responsible towards the feelings. People are not responsible towards their feelings. They are finding distractions. I'm sorry, my segment is going on very long,
No, no, no,
but
it's okay.
these are the things I really want to tell people if they are struggling. Don't keep suffering. Find a help. If you can't find a help, at least approach someone who will help you. Okay, and ask yourself whether I want to suffer through this. Don't do
I think
it
it was
because
written in Mark Manson's book.
ultimately you wouldn't.
It was written in Mark Manson's book, I think. It was that basically the quote that goes, "Ki choose your battles." So he had modified it somewhat
Oh,
to say, "Choose your sufferings," because life is a suffering, and we know that we'll be suffering whatever you're doing. Even desiring something is suffering. Not desiring something is suffering. Even existence itself is suffering in all ways. So just choose the sufferings that you want in your life, and you'll be willing to spend spend living those sufferings for your entire life, so that at least you get some meaning out of it. That's good. And the second point that I liked about the entire segment was, people forget most of the times that they should talk to themselves. They think, कि अरे हमें पागल समझेंगे वगैरह. But I think uh, talking to oneself, we are always talking to oneself anyway, right? There's always the internal monologue going on about what we want to do, what we don't want to do. The people who are completely in the present maybe don't have it, but generally, I'm talking about how people keep on thinking rather than just thinking on autopilot and not getting anywhere. It's better to talk to yourself and get a systemized thought process in line so that you can actually make sense of the thoughts and the jumble that has formed in your brain, and actually make sense of the things that are going on. Okay, finally, let's move forward. Now we'll move on to a different aspect of the same coin. That is, currently there's been a trend in the general, in the whole world, we'll say, but more in America, that after there has been so much emphasis on mental health, people started going to therapists, and now the entire psychology of a child, or let's say who is under 18 or something, or even young adults and the people who have just started the 20s or something like that, it has been a general trend nowadays ki people are feeling oversensitive about the stuff. Basically, the therapy has gone to such heavy extremes that it is no longer helping them. It's actually making them weak, mentally weak. There was this book called Why the Kids Aren't Growing, and this was written by Abigail Sure, something like that. She had also come on a podcast, Mark Manson. So she had talked about how bad therapy basically ruined an entire generation, and people are now more stressed, more anxious, more sad uh, because even if they have tons of therapy, even if they have like all the knowledge they need, they still aren't able to solve their problems, and they have become oversensitive about the issues that they have in their current life. So why don't you talk about it? What do you think is causing that, and how do you think we should tackle such issues? Because in India specifically, I know my question is going a little bit
No, it's
long,
okay.
but but
No.
but in India, the problem is we don't have therapists as often. Like only, let's say, from 1,000 kids, there will be 10 kids who will actually go and see a therapist, right? But for the remaining 990, there will be no therapist, and internet is their therapy. So they'll go search on YouTube, and then they'll learn all these terms: dopamine, depression, and anxiety, and whatnot stuff they'll learn. And then in general terms, I've heard people use these words कि अरे मेरे को तो depression है, मेरे को तो trauma है पिछले इसका. And then I look at the people, and I mean, in general terms, it is fun or like funny to use those terms, but the actual depression and the actual trauma, I have read about the events that have happened in the people's life who have suffered actual trauma, and it's so devastating. And people just use those terms in general. कि I didn't get my marks. It's so depressing. ऐसा करके, या फिर I I wasn't able to enjoy myself in my childhood properly, या फिर I wasn't able to play, I was bullied as a child, तो मेरे को उसका trauma है. Some people have real good like trauma of getting bullied, but in general I'm speaking कि टर्म्स को इतना ज़्यादा जनरलाइज कर दिया जाता है कि फिर उनका मीनिंग ही नहीं रह जाता ऐसा करके. सो अगेन, simplifying the question, over therapy or like too much exposure to the terms that are related to therapy, which most audiences do not understand, and still not audiences, like general people use, and they still do not understand, and then still then, you know, the general public will get oversensitive over the simplest of issues just because of the exposure that they have got to the psychological terms.
Okay, I heard the entire segment. It was quite long, but very important. Okay, this has really multiple dimensions, but I will focus on two dimensions. And I literally pulled out my book for
Okay.
this that I have because I have habit of writing once I find it very interesting, and especially when I'm in the profession of counseling, I'm trying to always find the best possible help. And I have written. It is related to we will talk about a little bit of over entertainment and dopamine secretions and why does that happen. Okay, and there is another aspect which is extremely direct, that is parenting. Okay, I'll here sorry, I'll read this. Okay, I'll literally read it and you will like understand what I'm trying to say, and I will come back to the parenting aspect. Okay, so this is written: the lost ability to tolerate minor forms of discomfort. Okay, what she's trying to say here. This is Dr. Anna, and she has done a lot of good research. She's a Stanford professor and everything. So she says that we have been into this situation where small things are at like you said कि marks नहीं मिले, मुझे depressed feel हो रहा है, I'm into depression or I'm
Yeah.
extremely anxious. So these, why does this happen? Okay, so I'll read it. We are constantly seeking to distract ourselves from the present moment to be entertained. This is a very important factor. We are always on the phones that I was talking and seeking entertainment. Okay. So we are always trying to seek something which is entertaining us in this present moment. Second thing, we have reset our pleasure pain threshold to give the side of the pain. And she says, even slightest thing feels like a trauma to us. Even things that, objectively speaking, a generation or two ago would not have been considered traumatic are now traumatic. Okay. And why? Okay, this important term, that pleasure pain threshold. We have, I don't know, ruined it somehow, pleasure pain threshold. I won't directly point out at entertainment industry or these devices, but it's our lost ability to be focused. This is our lost ability to have the self control or awareness about this time I am not going to be entertained because this time is dedicated for my work or exercises or particular thing. And when you are constantly in that entertainment zone, okay, your brain is feeling happy constantly, dopamine secretion, and even the slightest thing makes you feel very unhappy. Okay, somebody will come and scream at you or scold at you and you will feel really bad because why? You were scrolling whole day. Okay, and that was secreting that dopamine and you have depleted it, and now it's depleted and some small thing, bad thing happens and you have reached to that threshold. Okay, now this is a one aspect about over entertaining
Yeah.
your brain and messing up with those patterns. And second most important thing I will say that um, child practices, when we talk about child rearing practices, it's over there like all over the research papers or internet, or if you find really good psychiatrists, they will tell you this thing. We are so much focused on behavioral fixation. Means what? If somebody is doing something wrong, we're focusing on that behavior and we are trying to fix that behavior. That is one of the worst parenting mistake. Okay, that any parent could do. Okay, and this is not my opinion, this I have learned from a very renowned like psychiatrist and a therapist. And he says that we should focus on underlying emotion of that child, or underlying emotion of that person, instead of focusing on that particular behavior. We should focus on the underlying emotion. Why did that child rebel? Why did that particular person behaved in such a manner? Was that person like feeling threatened, or not well adapted, or something like that? You should always go into deeper, have that healthy conversation, and again like solve that particular issue, and you have a
It's a
healthy
different
parenting
form of
practice.
it's a different form of empathy then, so that we can know what the person in front of us is going through, what may be the psychological aspects of the thing, and what must be going wrong, so that he's, you know, going through all of that and then dealing with the situation.
Yes, absolutely. And you're not trying to suppress that kid's behavior, or not trying to mold into the ideal mold, because that's very important.
Mhm.
And you're trying to understand. That's it. And I will say one more thing that we have not talked here. Okay. We talked about screen, we talked about a little bit of addiction and something like that. Nobody's talking about sugar. Okay. It's very like dramatic in terms of behavior. People with extreme sugar intake, or who are consuming a lot of simple sugars, will have messed up mood, will have messed up brain, will have messed up biochemistry in their body, because it sets up your mood, it disrupts your mood, it disrupts your hormones as well. And what do I mean by that? People, especially dealing with ADHD, are advised not to take simple sugars a lot, or eat a lot of sugary food. And if you want to focus, because look, this discussion will go into another tangent if I indulge into sugar, because insulin spikes, and everyone I don't know if everyone knows it or not, but people who are aware about insulin spikes or something like that, they will understand that once you eat like a lot of sugary food or something like that, your insulin spike will be there, and eventually there will be a crash. Okay, and when you feel that crash, either you are feeling like low mood or sleepy or something like that, and it is
Yep.
going to affect your entire like cycle of the day. And once you keep doing it on daily basis, it's going to hamper your behavior in general as well. Okay, and especially if you are feeling anxious or depressed or something like that, a lot of people are going for a food therapy. What they will say, oh no, I want to eat something sweet, so that will secrete that dopamine, and I will feel happy again, and it's just quick fix. Don't. Instead of that, go on a walk. Okay, take that cortisol. See, whenever you are stressed now, cortisol is that hormone which
Yep.
is secreting in your brain. Okay, and in eventually into your body. Okay, and it is responsible for you can say muscle build as well. Okay, so if you go for exercise, you can utilize that cortisol for good thing. You will develop more muscles, and you know also you will feel a little bit calmer after doing exercise if you are going through a bad mood. So instead of going for a piece of cake, I will seriously say go for 15-20 minutes of walk, or go in a gym. And there will be a tremendous like mood shift for that matter. And I will come back to your question. I wanted to include this because people should be aware about sugar and its detrimental effects on you. So never start your meal with sugar. This is one. If I
Yep.
have to tell anything for a focus, or if I have to tell you anything for a healthy lifestyle, I will always tell you, don't start your meal or your start day with sugary intake or sugary
Mm.
food, not even a fruit. To be very honest, not even a fruit. Don't start
Okay.
your meal or day with a fruit. Instead, start with good fiber or good fat. Okay, omega 3 fatty acids. You can start with it. You can uh, take a lot of fibrous material. For example, now you will ask me, how can I eat salad at breakfast. Okay, no, you don't need to eat breakfast with salads. You can eat that salad to a lunch, but you can start with almonds or walnuts, which is fiber and good fatty acids, and then you can have your savory like meal. If you eat eggs, it's good for the breakfast. Or if you want to go for again high fiber like a breakfast like dalia or even poha, if you're adding good things into poha. So even in Indian breakfast, you can add a little bit of good fiber and keep it savory, so that the tone of the day will be set properly. And again, in the lunch or dinner, start with salad or cucumber or
Mhm.
carrot or tomato, something like that, and then eat your meal. And if you want to eat something sweet at the end of the meal, you can eat it. It is going to regulate your blood sugar, and eventually it will help you for your moods as well. Eventually it is going to help you to be more disciplined in your daily routine, because if you have to eat something, you will eat it at the end of the meal. And that is one way, or one gesture of a discipline, that you're keeping something at particular
Mhm.
end or at particular start. So yeah, it starts with a lot of these small things. I'm sorry I
Interesting.
took a lot of
No,
time,
it's okay. I
but
think
I just wanted.
recently what I did was I cut down on my carbs so that, uh, firstly, I wanted to lose weight a little bit. So I was like, I should not eat more than needed. So firstly, I did that. Secondly, I started already, like you said right now, I started with almonds, walnuts, uh, what do we call kajla kya that?
Cashew.
Cash, cashew nuts,
Cashew.
yes, cashew nuts, groundnuts also, some of them as well. So that when I start my day, it's that or some bread or something like that. But it is a very minimal breakfast, and my main breakfast is after I come home at like 12 o'clock or something. Basically, I have reduced the amount of eating outside. B sugar also. I used to eat chapati and tea daily, subah subah. Now I drink milk and chapati. So I cut down on the tea. And even I do eat chocolate sometimes because I love chocolates. But once a week or something like twice a week or something
You
like that.
can
So
eat it after a meal. You can eat it after a
okay.
meal. Sweet
But
things.
still, I think
Okay.
sugar is bad for your
Yes.
health overall, right? And
Yeah.
for your focus also, for your
Mm,
because you get
mm.
that spurts of dopamine. I think we can compare that
Yeah.
to watching reels or something like that, right? So that's why
Yeah.
I cut down on everything basically that I found was not helpful and was not healthy. Interesting. Okay, let's move away from the psychological tangent now. Let's move towards a different tangent. You have studied in a all-girls school when you were a child, right? So, what experience did you have in that institution, and what did it teach you about A, women's psychology, and B, how was the environment like when there are like not males your age around, and what? Let's just talk about the experience that you had basically there.
Okay. So, from fifth standard onwards, I was in Scenic school. People should know what is Scenic school basically. It's a residential school, and it was all girls school. So I basically studied into Rani Lakshmi Bai Girls Scenic School, and we had like normal teachers as well, but at the same time we had army, navy, or air force retired staff. Okay, for our physical training and for few subjects as well. So we grew up in a very much military environment, you can say very much disciplined environment. If you ask me what are the exact important things, or what were the
Key
idea of
learnings.
tennis. Yeah, yeah. Key things you can say. It
Yeah.
was discipline. It was good health. Okay, exercise and everything and sports. I will indulge in that again. Brain at the same time means good academics and healthy environment in general. Uh, Girls' school has taught me one thing, that there is not much of a difference between a girl and a guy in terms of psychology. I know a lot of people think that, but when you have people having a very I don't know how to put it, Darshil, but okay, I'll assemble few words. Okay,
Yes, sure.
if you talk about normal public school girls, or normal school going girls and scenic school girls, there is a huge difference between attitude. Okay,
Okay.
they have been trained very in terms of physical activities as well. They have been um,
Trained.
trained little bit harshly, because you can't give reasons that, oh, I got up at late. Your
No
schedule
excuses.
starts at 5. Yeah, you start at 5 o'clock in the morning every day without any fail. Okay, and you go on till 10 o'clock at night. Only Sunday is the day where you can have something of your own and chutti and all that, but every day starts with 5 a.m., ends with 10 a.m. In that, you go through physical training, and it is intense training. Okay, I'll tell you the schedule. We were made to do pranayam, then 26 surya namaskar, then almost a kilometer or 1.5 kilometers of running, then exercises, different exercises. Then you come, take not even a shower. Okay, you just wash your hands, feet, you change into the uniform, you go to the mess, you eat whatever you have been provided, a glass of milk and menu. Then you go for a school, then you come back. Then again, there were like a lot of sports assigned to particular class for particular day in a week. Like there was archery, there was martial arts, um, then there was rifle shooting, there was like again basketball, kabaddi, and everything, all the other sports, like if you want to play hockey or cricket or something like that. But the horse riding, it's one of the most important and very close to my heart, was horse riding. And every girl at the age of 16 is holding black belt in her hands, as in
Yeah.
martial arts. So yeah, so you can imagine the attitude she has about fighting or self-defense, the attitude and the kind of discipline she is leading in her life, right from 5 a.m. to like 10 p.m. at night. She is focusing on studies as well. She is giving all those exams which other people are giving, like seventh scholarship, NTS exam, 10th, elementary, intermediate, the drawing exam. It's compulsory. Okay, so why I said earlier that there was not much of a difference between girl and a guy, because we had boycotts till 10th standard. It was
Hmm.
must. We never trained with the mindset, okay, these are girls. Okay, we were never
Hmm.
allowed to give reasons that, okay, we are going through a particular physical pain or something. If it is serious now, then you can excuse yourself from the daily routine if doctor has prescribed it.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can't give it a reason ki, oh no, I'm going through a periods, so I can't perform few activities. No, you have to do it. Everyone does it, and we were trained that way. Okay, so if you ask me, um, definitely boys were not there. So subconsciously, somewhere when I went into the 11th, 12th standard in co-education system,
Hmm.
I was little bit introverted when men came around me. But when I was at home, I don't think so. Even my father never treated me like I was a girl or something, like a girl child. He
Okay.
always treated me like same what he has. In fact, I was trained, or I was what you can say, treated more masculinely than my brother, you can say.
Hmm.
uh, yeah, so in terms of attitude, in terms of confidence, in terms of conduct in the world, it's very different of scenic school girls. Okay, and like you asked me about that key, like co-education, and you
Hmm.
didn't ask, but I'm telling you, I interpreted you mean by that. It was little bit different at first, because co-education was not so much of ease for me.
Okay.
We never had habit of uh, see, when you are in girls school, or when you are talking with girls or sitting with girls, you don't think much about the kind of dress that you're wearing, or especially if you're in a uniform, your uniform is going a little bit up or down or something like that. It's all girls. Okay, you're not conscious about everything. But when you go into the co-education now, so there is a lot of consciousness about what I'm wearing, how I'm looking. And then there is a perspective. I'll say very directly, then there is this dynamics at that age as well, like attraction and something like that. To be very honest, I was very much afraid of the attraction at first, because
Mm-hmm.
it was all new to me. Okay, I mean, and it did hold me back a little bit when it came to communicating with men. I Other than my family, okay, when it came to friends, um engineering, I think, was a little bit helpful when it came to male interaction, because I have done civil engineering, and in that, whether you're in civil or
Yeah.
mechanical, like there are a lot of guys than girls. So I think that was normalized then, but girls experience was very different than normal girls in Scenic School. But if you talk about co-education dynamics, that was it. What I told you earlier. Now,
Hmm. Do you think that because you are built in such an environment that forced you to get things done and not, you know, indulge in the matters that usually girls will be indulging when they are in a co-ed school or normal school, basically. Do you think because of that, uh, that the difference is there? Because what I interpret this scenario as, like whatever I have read, from whatever I have read is, basically they're like, it isn't just about the gender, or it isn't just about again the gender itself. It is about the characteristics that a person has. Like there's female, feminine energy, masculine energy, ऐसा. तो उसमें भी males will be, more focused on the rational, technical parts of the pursuit that they are pursuing, like working on the career, कि मुझे पढ़ाई करनी है, whatever they are pursuing right now. Gender, I'm talking in general focused में, ठीक है. Female will in turn be more biologically inclined. I'm talking about psychology here. I'm not talking about intentional efforts. I'm talking about, innate inclinations to invest in the friendships they have, already existing things, make them better, have whatever relationships they have with their friends, family, and make them better as a inclination. And when a female is forced, not forced rather, when she's built in an environment that, is built around the usual pursuits that men will have, that build your career, focus on yourself, focus on exercise, focus on building your muscles, focus on learning stuff, focus on the exam, ऐसे करके. Then I think even females learn to think in a, uh, what do we say, feminine का opposite, in a male's perspective basically.
masculine,
अगर
masculine
हाँ,
perspective.
yeah,
Yeah.
masculine perspective, sorry. मैं word भूल गया था basically. When I have friends who, female friends who, uh, in general, women don't think a lot about the future, and the ones who do are miserable because they know कि even the boys who think a lot about the future are miserable, right? And what I've observed is the similarity of traits there, because that just makes female more like a male who is thinking about a future and who's thinking about a technical stuff. And that's why, I think when you were talking about the military type of training, basically, which is focused on discipline, that forces the girls to become a little bit to the, having a male's energy rather than a female's energy, and not, and hence investing more time building herself, and not just, indulging in daily, क्या होता है, जो भी distractions वगैरह होते हैं लड़कियों की जिंदगी में.
Okay. So if you ask about me, yes, that training or that environment made me who I am today. Maybe a little bit career oriented or ambitious or focused. So, if you ask about me, definitely Scenic School training or Scenic School upbringing helped me a lot to think about ambition, to think about career, to think about discipline, to think about physical workouts or those things. Okay, which you can say ki, for example, self-defense and something like that. Okay, the masculine thing, it is, I want to tell you ki, there is nothing exactly masculine, there is nothing exactly
Yeah.
feminine. It's about the upbringing. Okay,
Hmm.
and like you said ki, the girls that you see, they are more indulged into friendships and more indulged into the relationship. It has some evolutionary reference to it
Yeah.
as well. I have learned anthropology. One thing I will tell you, um, women have been in home, dealing with kids, procreating kids, and men have been always on hunt or something like that. That's why men tend to uh, develop more muscles than women. Okay, that you will find out a study which will tell you why exactly it happens. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. So they were part of nurture more. Okay, when it came to building life around them, taking care of kids, taking care about dynamics, the other females, and social relationships, because they were living there and men were hunting. So evolutionary aspects will always stay into you, okay, somehow. And that is very natural. Okay, women will be naturally more talkative or more better communicators, I will say sometimes, because they have that innate ability to communicate with that child who cannot talk. They have that natural thing going on with the family nurture or other dynamics. And I will come back to the point now. See, we are living in 21st century. Things are a lot of changing, Darshil. Um, Gender barriers are very blur these days, because we are providing equal amount of education, or equal, we are basically treating everyone equal here. And people who are not blessed with that, I feel really bad. It's not their fault at the same time if they are not particularly goal oriented or something like that. But yes, when you are in that age, okay, when you come in that age, particularly when you know what is right, what is wrong, what you have to choose, what you have to change, there are few things which might be parenting things, which might be your childhood trauma or something like that. But you come into some age where you can take responsibility for your stuff, you can take responsibility for your actions, you can change those behavioral patterns. So that point of time, I will definitely say ki, if that particular woman decides to have particular um, lifestyle or choices, then she can do it. But it will take a lot of efforts. It is easier for people like me because we had that kind of upbringing at Scenic School where we were treated as equally, you know. I think that there is a factor of progressive parenting as well. Parents, if they're really progressive, if they think that, their kid is as equal as a male child, I think a lot of difference starts over there. You can see a lot of confidence and difference of attitude in those girls,
Ma'am,
for sure.
the amount of emphasis that you have put in this podcast on parenting is huge. But what about the children who do not have parents? Sometimes, like we have stories where the child grows up to be, uh, let's say, not good citizen and a good citizen for in government country terms, economical terms, or let's just say in social terms. How does parenting, if like for a what if a person doesn't have parents? How then does he become a good person, or what if it turns out to a bad person? What are the factors that will be played when the parents are not there actually to actually help him?
Um, I'll say it's a huge thing not to have parent in your life because it's your support system. It, lot of your behavioral patterns are formed around that arena. Okay, so if you do not have parent, you were always on your own, or there was some guardian who was taking care of you. If you are in a orphanage, okay, there was some caretaker or something like that, and they were not always um, treated that with affection or that lovingly as we do. Okay, it's a very tragic thing, to be very honest. But these people, when they realize few things, I have observed, I have one of the girl child who is orphan, but she's preparing for the exams, and she was taking help of me in that. And no, either you become very independent and you take responsibility for your mess or whatever it is, and you work for it, or else you will see the other extreme. Okay, they will turn to other things like criminal activities and something like that, because there is no one to tell them that okay, this is the wrong thing that you're doing, this is the right thing that you're doing. But that will, even after having bad parenting, na, I have seen a lot of people who have improved themselves, who have improved and by taking charge of their life, who have achieved really great heights. Okay. And it was not easy for them, but they made hard choices. They were determined to change their life in particular. Does
Okay.
that answer your question?
Yeah, basically, we knew the answer that either they turn out to be very good because they understand what others are having. They turn out to be grateful for the people they have because they know that they do not have the support system that they should have, ideally. But they realize the reality that, shit always doesn't happen according to the, ideal situations or according to how you want it. And they grasp the situation and that's a good outcome. Or otherwise, they turn to criminal activities and it goes bad. That answers the
Sorry to
question.
interrupt. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but there is one more factor that they always struggle with: having faith or trust.
Hmm.
And that
Okay.
messes up a lot of relationships in their life. They take a lot of time to trust someone, and once they trust someone, then I think those people become, the one kind of people in their life. And I will give you a really good example of Dr. Gabor Mate. He's a Canadian psychotherapist, well-renowned psychiatrist and researcher.
Hmm.
He was abandoned in the war. He has a tragic story by mother, and or something like that. Like his mother gave him up in a better family and something. So he had that abandonment issues and something like that. But later on, when he was in that particular age where he realized that okay, no more these things, I will dig deeper. Why am I feeling this way, or why these things are happening with me? Why am I a very workaholic person? Okay, these people tend to be addicted like easily. Okay, it could be work addiction as well. Workaholicness is not a good term, to be very honest. It is a kind of addiction that you are working for rewards. Okay, more rewards, and people will appreciate and will say, oh, this person is workaholic. We take it as a compliment, but workaholicness is not a compliment. It is something that there is something wrong with you. Okay, you should do healthy amount of working, not overworking, not over burnouts. So yeah, a lot of things happen, especially talking about addictions as well, and you have to be very careful about it. Yeah.
All right. Let's move to a different tangent now. You
Mhm.
have been preparing for IS, how many years was that? Teen
Since
plus
last
or
4 to 5 years. Yes,
four,
4 years.
5 years. So
UPSC
you know,
in general.
hmm, see, you know the environment that an average IS aspirant will be going through. Can you enlighten us on the entire atmosphere or entire, let's just say that your journey while you were pursuing IAS basically when you were an IAS aspirant, and also after you became an IAS after you like stopped the journey and you were done with it, what made you quit? Why do people not quit? Because I've seen people go on for like a decade maybe and just trying to get cleared those exams and shit. Also, has that information, because IAS का portion बहुत ज़्यादा vast होता है, right? So has that information helped you in general life after you actually stopped using it just for the exam itself?
Definitely. I mean, that portion is so vast that it involves from the ancient history to the modern history, the Indian geography to what the, like you can say, um, Earth's evolution to the present day technology and whatnot, politics, not politics, but political science, governance and current affairs that are going on in like right now. It opens you to a lot of portals, I will say. You understand the aspects rather of particular topic. Like you start thinking about historical aspect, you start thinking about political aspect, you start thinking about economical aspect. start thinking about environmental aspect, you start thinking about ethical aspect, because these are the subjects that you're dealing with. And there is a tremendous amount of information that you are having when you are studying. Sometimes things don't work out, okay. So my journey was, I will say, ki definitely was tiring, and like you said, ki rather I will say you should know where to stop. And if you ask me that when you should know that you should stop or you should not give up, it depends on how badly you wanted it and why you wanted it. Okay. So if your why is clear, so there is not always, see, it's a very basic thing. Ki if you know why you are doing it, it might be just one medium. There could be other mediums as well where you can fulfill that purpose. Okay. So you can always indulge into yourself and you can ask yourself that, okay, what is the purpose of this journey? What is the purpose of my life? If your purpose of life is aligned with purpose of that journey, great, you have gotten the super express highway. Okay. But if it is not well aligned, then you will struggle for sure. And my, I think why, my why was always clear. Okay, I wanted, it sounds cliche, but I always knew that I felt relief, I felt happiness, I felt satisfaction in the service of others, the service of people. And trust me, when I'm doing counseling or when I'm teaching students, I'm not just teaching them a subject, I'm not just teaching them how to come out of it, but somewhere I have that satisfaction that, okay, I'm trying to make someone's life easier, something better. I'm trying to do a service, and that service agrees with me, and that gives me the happiness, the ultimate happiness. And yeah, I think I have answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I think we are approaching the end, like concluding sections of the podcast. But there's still one topic that I think we should talk about that I want you to specifically talk about. In 2024, or let's say just the 21st century, we live in an age where there are tons of distractions. People are purposeless. They don't know what they should do because they have everything already. Like the basic essentials they need, people already have that. So the let's say that when you're born in lower middle class or when you're poor, you have an aspiration that you want to uh, what do we say, and elevate the lifestyle that you currently have. But when you have a decent lifestyle, people don't know what they should be pursuing, they don't know what they should be doing. And purposelessness is one of the most important factors that contribute to depression, anxiety, and all the negative emotions that one feels. In this scenario, when we have ample of everything but we are still not happy, how do you think one should build himself herself so that they know what they want to do, they improve themselves daily? What not just, let's not talk about strategies because there are tons of strategies already that you talked about, but rather what should be the ideal mindset that one should embody so that they change their lifestyle and actually start playing the game of life and actually have fun uh, progressing in life, basically.
See, your question is very nice. I'm really impressed you asked, because there are a lot of people who are dealing with this problem. My answer to all those people who are suffering through that particular issue is be aware about yourself. Okay. Try to know yourself better. People are not spending enough time alone, like we discussed earlier. Okay. If you do not know what to do in life, if you are struggling with finding that purpose in life, your default purpose in life could be, I will be the better version of myself.
Hmm.
Okay. Whatever you're doing, if you're in the studying phase, you will do it a little bit better. You will be more disciplined. Your
Hmm.
health, you can work on your health. You can work on your communication skills. You can work on a lot of important things which are going in that phase. Okay, you will, which will make you better version of yourself. And once you start that journey of a better version, we all have flaws. Okay, we all are flawed inherently, but when you start to work on those flaws, there will be few good incidences, bad incidences, which will teach you to change few things about you. And when once you start your journey, you'll be more aware about yourself. You'll be more aware about your likings, which will lead you to understand what really matters. And then maybe you could have a good realization that what really matters in life, what you really want to build or develop in life, and what kind of life you're imagining it. Like for a teenager dream, it's more like, I want to have Lamborghini, I want to have this uh, villa, I want to have foreign vacations and all that. But once you come out of that teenage dreams, once you come into your 20s, you start to realize life is you start to realize life is really sometimes monotonous, or
Okay.
can get difficult, because
Mhm.
you have chosen your profession, you have been working into that. It is telling you whether it is making you
Yeah.
happy or not, whether you are doing progress or not. But for all those people who do not know what they really want to do, start with knowing yourself better. And you can start it with having some alone time, talk to yourself, like you said. I'm really
Self-talk.
glad you. Yes, self talk. It's very important. And even in the great moments, uh, if you're extremely happy, if you're extremely sad, take that one moment to be alone. Tell your friends or family, if you're on a vacation, if you're feeling really happy, take a moment and just feel it, and be alone, talk to yourself. And these things will tell you to observe yourself from within, in good, bad, and best situations. And when you start to know yourself better, when you know that these are problematic things in me, these are good things in me, these are great qualities about me, these are worst qualities about me, you write that down on a paper. And then you ask yourself, okay, with these good qualities and with these bad qualities, where I can work better. Okay, if you are really good in communication or something like that, you can work in communication industry. It's not just about media or something like that. You can work in a teaching field, you can work in, these days podcasts are really up. But see, something sustainable is very important when you're choosing the profession or purpose, or you can say. And I think it's a journey to find out the purpose. You can't just realize it in a year, or a thought, or in 10 meditations, or in few meditations. No, it takes sometimes a lot of time. Sometimes you can realize it in the, within fraction of second.
Yeah.
Ki, okay, this makes me happy. It took me 5 to 6 years to realize that really doing service to people makes me happy, because I had opportunity to work in NGO, right? And then there were few things. I was inspired by a lot of people, Darshil, to be very honest. There were really great people in those NGO who were really selfless, who were really good, and who, really appreciated few things in me, and made me realize, oh, this makes me happy. This makes me feel good and satisfied. So, for all those people, start being aware about yourself, be more focused, and start working on yourself for the better version of yourself. Then you will realize the purpose of your life or goal of your life.
Mm-hmm. I think that is a good advice. Why? Because when you're just going to start, you won't know what your purpose is and what you want to do. So, in general, we know the good things that we should be doing. We know that exercising is good. We know eating healthy is good. We know improving ourselves is generally good. We know studying is good. It's not inherently harmful or toxic to our health, right? It's going to help us in the future. So, focusing on the things that you already know are good is a good thing. And simultaneously can focus on actually developing the self-awareness, so that when you as you're building yourself, you'll realize the things that you like to do for the nation, for the world, for the immediate society that you have around yourself, and then you can work towards making that your profession. So it's a systematic, balanced process if you don't know what you want to do in your life. That's a good answer, ma'am.
Can I add something which is
Yeah,
very
sure, sure.
important? Cut out toxic things and people from your life. It's very important when you are on that journey. It is important, if if you are feeling that this thing is toxic, this person is toxic, immediately cut that friendship or cut that relationship. That will help you a lot, because every time you're going to get bothered and you are going to get intoxicated with that energy. It might feel brutal at start, but once you start cutting out those people, you can do it smartly. You don't have to know to tell that person, oh, I'm cutting
Yeah.
you out. But
Mm.
you can do it smoothly as well. If you feel this energy is being toxic, see, a particular person who is toxic towards you might not be toxic towards others. Okay, it's the very human thing. Okay,
Yeah.
sometimes excess amount of a good thing is also toxic. Okay, excess amount of bad thing is toxic. Anything excess in that situation, in that point of
Yeah.
life, take it out for a while until it stops being toxic, or if it continues, just stay away. It is better.
Indeed. That's a good point to add. Toxicity. I think uh, in general, people take it for granted the amount of influence that the five friends around you will have on you, the immediate people around you, like your family will have on you. These now we cannot cut away your family, and I don't think that's a good idea either. But you can cut off the people that are, let's say, not helping you in any way. If like you're just having gossip friends, or even gossip is healthy, but to a certain extent, I think. After that, if you have friends who are like, they don't make you feel good, I think it's better to cut them off and focus on yourself rather than, trying to make everyone happy and live by those means.
I want to add up. I'm sorry, I know it's
No, no,
being
it's okay.
long, but since we talked about this problematic people, there are four rules that you can apply and which have been helpful to a lot of people, including me. So the first thing is, whenever the problematic thing happen with problematic people or toxic people that we are saying, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. These are
Mm-hmm.
important things. Don't defend means whatever happened,
Mm-hmm.
don't try to defend yourself in front of them. Don't try to engage into any kind of conversation with them. Okay, because it will make it worse. They will always try to give their reasons, and they will tell you how foolish are you. They will convince other people how foolish
Yeah,
are
yeah,
you, and like that kind of toxicity that you might feel. And
yeah,
don't explain. Okay, even to your peers, if they are common and mutual between you, don't explain. Don't explain, okay, this happened, that happened. Only explain to those people who are asking for it, because they have that innate care for you, innate affection for you, because you matter to those people. You should talk those things with only those people, not with people who are seeking for explanation or entertainment out of a drama. And the last is, don't personalize. It's a very difficult thing to uh, like implement, but it's very important. I have learned it hard way, that sometimes it's not you, Darshil. It's not you, it's that person. You know how people say, oh no, it's not me, it's sorry, it's not you, it's me.
ah,
Sometimes believe it.
okay,
It is them.
yeah,
It is them sometimes, because if you see a particular pattern about a particular person, if the person has a history of a particular doing certain things, then you can't beat yourself up for doing that. And we have habit of taking things in a way that, okay, this happened because of me. uh, in a way, the wrong kind of, or the unwanted narcissism is always unwanted, but that time you don't need to be narcissist. Sometimes you can believe, oh no, it is that person, and it could be you. You have to go inside to find out if whether it is you or not. But sometimes people with history of particular things, it is them. It's not you. This four-step approach has changed my life. I didn't know about it earlier, but I was like indirectly following it. But when I realized, when I read it, I came to know that, okay, I was on the right path. And I want to tell all those people who are struggling with, um, toxic energy or like problematic people. This four-step approach, it will save you.
That's what it is. Okay, I think we should end the podcast now. I think it's been 1 minute, 1 hour 40 minutes that we have been recording, but it was fun. So thank you for joining the podcast, ma'am, and thank you all for watching the podcast till the end. It was a brilliant, fun, information dense podcast, unlike the previous ones that I've done. They were fun, but this was more information dense. And yeah, if you stuck around till this time, I'm really thankful to you that you stuck around. Baki, you know the generals. Uh, big thanks to Yashomati ma'am so that she agreed from her for to actually do this podcast despite her busy schedule. I know she was busy. We had to prepone a bit of times because the schedule timings were not matching. So thank you for making time to actually join us today. And yeah, I think that's a good note to end the podcast. So thanks for watching and bye bye.